Hello, Benji.
Hey, young man, how's it going?
Doing good. Hey, Stephen. I don't hear you, Stephen.
There we go.
I hear you now.
My audio messed up. Well, hello. Long time no
okay.
see.
Yeah, likewise.
Now, what kind of stuff are you working on these days?
Tech stuff. So moved on to campaign management and things like that.
Cool.
Yeah. But I'm back to like IC role, so I have more time to do like the things I want.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Alex.
How's everybody doing? It's been a minute.
Hello.
Good. How are you?
Doing all right. Cool. So this is to talk about the client control nullability project, where it's at, what tasks need to be done and all that jazz. Calvin, I don't know if we've met on one of these calls before, but hello. Nice to meet you.
I think we chatted at one of the working group meetings, but I think you probably had more dialogue with Anthony for this stuff than me.
Yeah. I talked to Anthony and Hugh a lot.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess the big thing, there was that sort of big blurb about with all the links of stuff that needs to be done. As I remember it, Ivan wanted to wait to merge execution stuff until after the error handling stuff had been decided. So that's going to require like going to working group meetings and reaching out to some of the relay people who were had concerns about error handling and that sort of thing.
Okay, so is that to say then like first point of call is like figure out all the open-ended discussions. Once those are sorted out, then we can get the reference implementation into GraphQL.js, and that should be.
Yeah, that's what I would do first. Yeah.
We got to discuss this at the most recent working group meeting a bit, and as I recall, the error handling, it was largely from the relay folks who they're very big on fragment modularity, I think you call it, and like using those as error boundaries and stuff. But at least for like Matt representing relay, it seemed like they'd be okay with moving forward with this. And basically we'd want to make sure that we're not blocked from future, future accommodation of better kind of like fragment modularity type things. But like the fact is, like as the GraphQL spec stands today, we can't do a lot more. And so basically, and I think that there's consent that we can move forward with this based on the GraphQL that we have today, keeping in mind that, maybe as the spec evolves, this also could evolve. So it's basically, there's, sentiment that client controlled nullability is something that, there's enough appetite for, like actually getting this merge, that we don't want to be blocked on these other things that are like kind of bigger than CCN.
Gotcha. So does that mean that they're okay with CCN errors being put in the errors, or like the standard errors array that gets passed back?
I think so.
Okay. Well, that makes life easier. The only
Well,
other,
I mean, we can get like actual a line item, like people are okay with this before we make any assumptions, but yes.
Cool.
Yeah, and maybe we could be like more explicit about exactly which like exactly that. Is it about errors appearing in the errors array? Is that exactly what the distinction is?
Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. That makes things easy. I think the other open discussion was the null propagation rules. Benji, I forget exactly what it was. Benji, do you remember what that was? It was oh yeah. Is everything between a required operator and an optional operator also required? And I don't know. I remember I took Benji's side, whatever it was, in that one.
I think my side was basically just have them do what nullability does in GraphQL already. Just keep it super simple. But I think it was me that actually came up with the problem in the first place, which, I'm real fuzzy on remembering exactly what it was. I think it had to do with like if you made something else. No, I'm not going to have a guess because I'll get it wrong.
It's currently written. I believe it's saying that it bubbles up until you explicitly put a what do we call it? Optional, interrogatory mark in your query instead of the normal bubble up rules.
Cool. It was I don't know. You got to look at that discussion. I think I had made some decision there, and no one pushed back on it. But if those two are out of the way, then I think you're good to go to keep pushing on the implementation stuff.
So would the decision marker and would that be in the RFC, like the kind of the decision log in the markdown RFC doc? Is that where that would be?
I don't think I wrote that one in there. It would have been at the end of the thread. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, it looks like Benji was arguing that everything between an assertion and a catch operator is also a required field. So like the whole chain of parents. Here's the link to that. I'll put it in the Discord. I'll also add that to the notes. With those two out of the way, though, I think you can work on the implementation. Are you comfortable doing that, Calvin? Also, yeah, Min, what do you want to? You're young. What do you want to do?
If you need help with the JavaScript side of the implementation, I can help with that. But you know, I just don't. So I read the decision log on everything. Just to catch up on the direction at the RFC level, but I didn't actually read anything like any open like implementation PRs. So I don't know what the status of that.
Yeah, no, it's all good. There's a lot there. But yeah, then the next couple of things I think is validation and execution. And I think they're both done mostly. We just got to get, someone's got to, is it still Ivan is maintaining that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, someone's just gotta, you know, bug him and whoever else is on the maintainers list to get reviews.
I went and looked through. Sorry, I went and looked through your PRs. So there was the first one you did, which added in the kind of experiments flag. Is that right? So that one's in.
A few have already been merged. Yeah, one is added the experimental flag. Another did lexing and parsing. I think those have both been merged.
Yes. And then there's the two you mentioned for validation execution. There was a third one, CCN operators implementation, PR 3281.
Did I link that in the message I sent, or was it somewhere else?
No, that's what confused me. I wasn't quite sure of the state of what this one actually did.
I think that might have been like I did the entire implementation in one PR, and Ivan was like, let's merge this in parts. So I started breaking that one up. I think that was the large one.
Okay.
That one can probably be closed. There's probably parts of it that are out of date.
Okay. And then for the execution, you said you had another PR on your own fork that was maybe a bit more efficient.
Yeah, the way it's implemented right now, if I remember correctly, is I go through the entire like query tree and basically like update the types so that they match whatever the client requested. So make things that the client said are required, and then execute it like that. But that requires like a second pass over the tree. And there was another implementation I did that did not require that second pass.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm happy to steer these GraphQL.js ones through. I do iOS every day in Swift, so JS is not my strongest suite, but and there's certainly enough people we can lean on for that.
Yeah,
Maybe that's where Young can help out.
yeah, I think Young. I'm an iOS guy too, so I think Young and another coworker helped me with the TypeScript originally. So that'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
I do have one question, and Benji, maybe you have some insight here. So this was pegged against version 16 of GraphQL.js. So 17 is now in Alpha 2. Should we be continuing this work on 16 or bump it up to 17 or both? I don't know.
I believe what Ivan normally says is just do it against whatever the latest state of the main branch is. Do it as a pull request against that. And then if it gets effectively merged into the new version and we still want to backport it to v16, that's what we would do. But effectively features should go into the main branch first and then be backported rather than the other way around.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
I think
you may want to check that that's correct though, because I'm not 100% certain.
I think when we started this, v16 was just about to come out. We were in the same position. I think we got the same advice.
All right.
Is this getting merged like still behind some kind of like feature flag, experimental flag?
I think that's still the plan. Yeah.
My understanding
cool.
is that's true until it becomes officially merged into the spec. Is that right?
Yeah, we wanted some more community feedback, and there was some stuff that people, like the error handling stuff that people still had concerns about.
Cool. Yeah, that's perfect then, because it's it's kind of an iterative thing as far as like progressing the RFC spec and getting the implementation out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So
are there
like
any
with-
other systems? No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, with getting this merged, then I think we can move it to the next, like the next RFC stage, which kind of like solidifies it a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay, so the systems for like the sample implementation, we've got GraphQL.js, Apollo iOS, and was there an Android implementation you did?
I did the iOS code generation for Apollo.
Okay. So there's no other systems we need to consider for is like this proof of concept. Here's this reference for spec merging.
I think the requirement was GraphQL.js and one other implementation, which I was saying that Apollo iOS was that implementation.
Okay.
What's the current state of the RFC? Like the stage, what stage is it at?
One, I don't remember the stages.
I think it's stage 1. Let me double check.
Like the RFC exists. There's also the outstanding spec PR, which will need to be updated with the stuff we talked about today about error handling and the null propagation rules, I think. Yeah. But I think everything else is there.
Yeah, it seemed like this got really far down the line. It seemed to stall for no really technical reason. So
Yeah.
I'd love to see this progress.
The reason is I switched jobs and we don't use GraphQL at my new job. So
No, that's fine.
And he handed it off to me, and I haven't really done anything with it yet.
That's okay. I admit I have like a double reason for wanting to do this is I'm implementing defer support in Apollo iOS, which is only available on 17, but that requires me to kill CCN in Apollo iOS, which I don't really want to do. So if I can bring this along for the ride, then happy days.
why would it require killing CCN?
Because it wouldn't be in GraphQL.js, and we need GraphQL.js as our like first step in code generation.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah.
Yeah, I also have a selfish reason for wanting to push this along. I signed up to give a talk on this at GraphQLConf in the fall, and it'd be nice to have this, like, even if it's not like officially merged yet, at least at a good stable spot.
And some sort of update from the last GraphQLConf at least.
yeah, and it would be awesome if it is like late stage RFC, not quite merged with like implementations out there, because then it could get a lot of usage and like a lot of a lot of good feedback before getting like final merge.
I think there's at least one other implementation of it that exists. It's there's like the group of libraries that are all named after desserts.
Yeah, chili cream.
Yeah,
hot chocolate.
It's the hot chocolate. Yeah, I was looking through their changelog to see if I could see it in there. I see mentions of it, but I'm not certain that any of them say it's definitely implemented. But I think it's quite likely Michael implements most of the features that we discuss.
Yeah. I think he was like mad quick about it, or at least opening a issue, or I don't remember.
So as far as backend implementations, is it just then we just have JS and hot chocolate, like .NET, I guess?
Yeah, maybe hot chocolate. Yeah.
Okay. So where is the right place to kickstart discussions on those discussions? Is it in the discussions on the repo, or go into the next working group meeting, raising it there, or?
Well, it sounds like the discussions have been covered, right? Like, I don't think anything's outstanding. If you need to kick the PRs again, announcing that at the working group meeting, that you're trying to get those moving along, and also announcing, like, just announce it in as many places as possible. Just announce it like in the PR threads, and then also at working group meetings.
And if the current state of the RFC, like this, if the current state of the spec edits are matching this implementation, then I think we should be good.
Yeah.
And we can then, you know, get this merged behind a feature flag, and then that would so for stage 2, basically you need to have a compliant implementation in GraphQL.js. It doesn't actually technically have to be merged yet to do stage 2, but I think it should be, you know, just kind of at a state where we think that it's, you know, what you know, kind of mergeable.
Yeah.
And then besides that, consensus that this solution is preferred, resolution of identified concerns and challenges precisely described, spec edits.
Okay.
And so the discussion as far as like, hey, can we move it to stage 2 now? That will basically force out any, you know, getting consensus on moving it to stage 2 means that everyone agrees that we have resolved the concerns, basically.
Right.
What's the process for that? Is that still just ask Lee and Lee says yes, or?
So what I've done in the past is I just set it as an agenda at the working group meeting, and I don't think it's come to like a formal vote, but like Lee hears consensus from the room and then blesses it.
Gotcha. Okay.
That is indeed how it works. It's basically consensus based. It would be best if you're adding it to an agenda to make sure you add it far enough in advance that everyone gets a chance to read like the final state of it. Please don't add it like half an hour before the meeting.
Yes, good point.
Yeah, when I was working on this actively, I think my process was add it to the agenda, announce in I guess it'd be Discord now that you want to talk about this at the meeting, and then talk about it at the meeting, and then follow up with people afterwards.
Okay. All right, cool. I think I've got enough of an understanding and everything that I wanted to get out of this. Is there anything that anybody else wanted to chat about?
I guess, Kevin, I'll just, you can, if you need any kind of JavaScript help, I'm happy to provide, but I guess I'll wait to hear from you, or do you want to have like separate chat later?
Well, I'll reach out to you when I know what we need to get done. It sounds like the PR is in a pretty good state, so there's probably not too much work to be done in there, aside from the efficiency change.
It's also going to need to get rebased on 17, which might be kind of a hassle.
I'm hoping it's as easy as moving our dependencies to 17, which didn't cause very many headaches at all.
Oh,
but
cool.
That's a very ignorant answer.
Okay, then. I'll just take a look at the PRs in the
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, if you don't need my help, don't feel obliged.
No,
to
I'll happily reach out.
Yeah,
if I need help.
Sure.
Where is the current status? Like, what's the best place to see what the very latest on this is?
I guess I keep adding, or in the past I've kept adding to the RFC that's in what is it, GraphQL working group, and then there's the spec thread, which is super long, but that's kind of the that's kind of the status of it, I think.
I just linked in the notes the RFC that I was referring to.
Cool, thanks. Is that what we meant by status, or did you mean something else?
Yeah, no, it is that. I was just trying to understand what we are currently proposing, because from what I understand, there was two proposals, right? Two main routes that could go. One was that the bang would be equivalent to just turning that thing into a non-null, and the question mark making it nullable, and then just using the existing GraphQL logic as if those types had been edited. The other behavior was more of like a throw catch, where the bang meant it would throw if it hit a null, and it could only be caught by a question mark. Otherwise, it would bubble all the way to the root. And from what I understand, we are going with the latter of those approaches.
Yeah, I think that's the reasoning for that is in the RFC under the decision log section. But that's the way the vote went when we held it.
So,
Okay, cool.
So is that where the current JS implementation does? Is that try-catch approach?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, and if I recall,
So-
that's the spec edits currently reflect that also.
So I just want to surface that I'm not fully on board with that. And I have read all this stuff before when it was last discussed. That issue thread we brought up earlier, the discussion 1009, that was me basically looking at, if we go with the try-catch route, what issues is it going to throw? Which is where I sort of figured that it needs to imply that non-nullability throughout the chain between those points, which I think is actually what we're proposing with that approach anyway. But I'm still not super comfortable with it. So yeah, I think I'll dig into my thoughts on that a little bit more and see if I can express them a bit better. But yeah.
Benji, do you think that would be a good agenda topic for a working group meeting? Would be just digging into that specific issue?
Yeah, I mean, it would be good to hear effectively both sides of it. I mean, from the side of just doing what GraphQL does is like just simplicity, like it's just very obvious what it's going to do then. I think the other approach has some really unexpected outcomes that you can get, but effectively what it is saying is that we don't care for partial success. Basically, if you've got no question marks, we don't care about partial success. There will be no partial success. Like, this thing has to exist, otherwise just explode. But some of the things, that get less obvious is like if an exclamation point is on, say, an avatar for a user that owns, let's say like a thing, an entity can have an owner, and that's optional. But if the owner is present, then they must have an avatar. If you put that exclamation mark at the moment and the thing has no owner, then should the entire query blow up now? Do you have to put a question mark on the owner? Do you have to remember that? It seems like there's a lot of really, really unintuitive behaviors, like the developers would have to put in a lot of effort. And if you go with a different interpretation of it, where everything in between is not non-nullable, then there's other unexpected outcomes that you would get from it. So I'll see if I can write a few of these cases out as best I can, see if I can like come up with some demonstrations, and then see if we still have consensus that that is the right approach.
No, yeah, that sounds good. I think a good place to start with that would be looking at the decision log, and I guess the way that decision was made was it was based on how relays required, it's been so long, required designators work, and I think they have fragment boundaries which act as like implicit catches, which we wouldn't have in this case.
Yeah, and I think with those boundaries, it makes more sense then blowing up like the entire query. And because we don't have those fragment boundaries, I'm not sure that it is the right decision at the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
I would tend to agree with you. Relay is just one kind of client implementation. It's not the base spec that everyone would have to adhere to. So yes, it's also that means you can't use a bang without a question mark if you want a same kind of query.
Yeah, and then it gets even more interesting when you have like lists, because then you have to put the question mark like inside of the list elements and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and that was my instinct as well. But I can see, I can see the advantages also of doing it this way. But hearing, like digging now in and seeing that, there's uncertainty on this decision. I think it is worth, this is a significant enough design decision that it is worth, making sure there's room for more voices. As far as the implementation, I mean, this does impact the implementation. Do we have code somewhere that like does both behaviors? Since I imagine we've iterated on this.
Yeah, you might have to dig through some commit history, but I'm sure there's a commit that does one and then later another one that does the other.
And the other is, like assuming that like this is something that we might still pivot on. How confidently do you think, like do we think we could still get like a version of the code with a behavior out there behind a feature, behind a flag? Because I mean, I guess that's the idea of a flag, right? Is that like this could change.
Yeah, there's kind of the midpoint where you were saying we haven't committed to this, where we think it's somewhat suspect, but we're going to see how it plays out like for real people.
Yeah, because that would let us get, more useful feedback, like having an implementation merged.
I think this is a great discussion to have in the working groups, though, to get people thinking about client controlled nullability again. I'll show up to that working group meeting. Do you know when the next one is?
It's August 3rd. And unfortunately, I think I'm like literally on a plane when the meeting is supposed to happen. And then there's also the other like non-primary meetings, secondary meetings as well. That
Next one of which is tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I also think it's perfectly reasonable for us to set up a sub working group for this. And I can help do that. I can also, obviously set up the Zoom meetings and so on and so forth. So if that's something that you folk would be interested in, then a general idea of your availability, like how frequently you'd like to meet, like the incremental delivery group meet weekly, which is really intense. But most other working groups either meet monthly or like the main working group, which is like 3 times a month, something like that. So just let me know where you sit on that spectrum. I think also Lee set like a scheduled period where the idea is like we've got this window each month where the sub working groups should meet up. So ideally, if we can fit into that, that'd be good. But I'll need to ask Lee to remind me what those windows were. I don't remember where they're written down even.
Yeah, I was going to suggest maybe we get a sub working group meeting in between now and the 3rd, and then if we still have a need to take it to the actual working group, we can do that on the 3rd. I should be available for that one.
Does someone want to take on the task of organizing that amongst us, like posting it into the Discord and polling for dates?
Sure, I can do that. Sorry, my mute is going crazy here. Is there a specific channel for the meetings?
I think just talking about it in the client controlled nullability chat is just fine.
All right. Okay.
And maybe we could also give a little shout out just in like the, I don't know, working group meeting or something, or maybe that, just make sure we get Let's see, or at least let's see, like Matt said, he could kind of represent relay, so it'd be good to have a relay voice and in there at least. We could just ping him in that thread or whatever.
Is he the main relay contact? Do the other, it was Jordan and there's some other folks. Are they still around? Are they still involved?
I'm not sure. Yeah, in the working group meeting, this past month, he said he could represent relay for this. But maybe if he's not available, there's someone else that he could suggest, like Jordan or someone else who had been working on it previously.
Yeah. I'm for your sake, Calvin, I'm hoping that the discussions don't go too long, but when they were running, I found it helpful to sort of make notes about where people stood on things. So if I need to like arrange meetings or shoot people messages and whatnot, that was helpful for me.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, August 3rd. I will show up to that. Sounds good. Anything else?
I don't think so. Not from me.
All right, cool. Thanks for taking this on. This is awesome. Happy to see it continue moving.
Yeah, and thank you, Alex, for scheduling this and kicking us, get this going again.
Well,
Sure.
you're an invaluable part of this, Alex. Like, let's keep you in the loop.
All right. Yeah, no, thank you. I'll be in Discord for sure. Take care, guys. Later.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.